Chris!
Heath!
Pass the salt.
I can't even reach you. We're so far away.
We're so far, and yet I've never felt more connected. Thanks to the network. Because apparently my Wi-Fi is 6.
Yeah, you've got the latest Wi-Fi standard 6, which I have too now, thanks to my new router. That's great and all.
We're building back a better America. It's my best diehard, man.
Yeah, we'll get into that, I'm sure. Also, congratulations. We made it through the Game Awards. Neither of us got arrested, which is more than we can say for everyone who attended.
I was gonna not bring it up unless you did, out of respect to Jeff Keighley.
Sure, we don't have to touch on it. But when we watched it go down live, I didn't even make out what he said, actually.
Me neither. And thankfully, it wasn't like a massive tirade.
Yeah. I mean, they did call security on him.
Thankfully, he didn't go on for as long as Chris Judge did.
Jeff Keighley didn't resist the urge to just dunk on the length of Chris Judge's acceptance speech.
His acceptance speech was as long as God of War Ragnarok.
It was competing with it. Also, props to you. You, uncanny sixth sense, you picked up something was amiss with that young character even before he went on his unprovoked tirade, because you were like, oh, which developer's son is this? He seemed out of place to you right from the start.
I do have a sense for spotting adolescents where they ought not be, which has really aided me in Well,
you told me you work with so many children, so that has to help.
And we are the sweat just piles up in the shop.
Okay, this is going to be what show
What is this going to be?
This is going to be episode 79 of Mobius Tubes, being recorded on December 11th, 2022. This is the post-show recap of the Game Awards episode, and we also just have a big stinky pile of games to talk about. Or at least I do. Have you been playing very much, Heath? Or are we not done with the opening banter? I'm good to banter on some more.
There's too much to talk about.
Just a little more banter. You moved.
I did. We're live
on the new premise.
Yep.
Just adding to the laundry list of different places we've recorded this show. We've hit almost every room in your parents' house. We've done your old apartment. We've
even the bathroom.
We went outside. And now we're in your new place.
New place, but it currently looks like how I play Animal Crossing New Horizons, and it's going to look like how Bailey plays Animal Crossing New Horizons.
The finished product.
Soon enough.
Very good. Well, Heath, true to my word, the listeners will reap the rewards of I did go full degenerate with the amount of games I've been playing, thanks to that week off I had. And yeah, I'm drowning in interesting entertainment. All of which is going to be fun to talk about. So I've played 3 games that I've brought to the show today. So let's pick up where we left off with Control last week.
Yeah.
Remedy's latest game. I felt like when we talked about it last episode, we did a whole bunch of setup and laying the groundwork and talking about the setting. And then we didn't really talk about the game in any substantial way. So let's correct that this episode. I've finished Control, played both its DLCs, earned every achievement on Steam. I saw this game thoroughly to completion, and I loved it. I considered myself a casual Remedy fan before with Alan Wake and Quantum Break, but now...
And Max Payne.
I didn't touch Max Payne, but yeah, that's a Remedy game. But now I'm a full believer. I'm salivating for whatever they make next, which there's a sequel to Control confirmed. I think even Alan Wake 2 is a thing they're working on. So they've got multiple teams cooking in the oven, and I'm here for it. So let's talk about Control.
The sequel, Control, it puts the letters TWO in place of Troll.
That would be some
Yikes.
Interesting syntax. Mm. Sure, yeah.
We're always looking for that.
Some graphic designer could probably pull it off, maybe. Okay, Control. Game about Jessie Faden, young woman, arriving at the Federal Bureau of Control, this fictional government organization right in Manhattan that exists in this fantastical building called the Oldest House. Cool bit of trivia about
The
the oldest
oldest house?
Yeah,
Okay.
oldest house. You can only find it if you're looking for it. So most people who are unaware of it, they just pass it by, none the wiser.
It's the opposite of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You have to get lost to find it.
Right. You have to be very intentional if you want to find this government building.
Well, that goes for a lot of government buildings.
It should, yeah, hopefully.
I can't find it. Yeah.
You don't want
I can't get what I want at the DMV. I have to, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want just anyone wandering in. You want real people. Okay.
Sorry, are we still setting it up, or are you actually going to talk about what the game
Let's talk about it.
Because it's an immersive sim, no?
It's a third-person shooter action game. I would not call it an immersive sim. There's not that level of simulation going on. Here's how I'll summarize the game. It's a very conventional, by-the-books, third-person shooter with a very weird layer of paint all over it. Mm-hmm. Mechanically, you've seen it all before. It's gunplay. It's some cool paranatural abilities sprinkled in. The main one probably being your telekinesis, the ability to whip objects around, rip up a chunk of concrete right from the floor of the building and hurl it at adversaries. It's very satisfying, but it's nothing we've never seen before. It's not even the first game I've played this year with telekinesis. Remember Scarlet Nexus? That game was full of it. Yeah. So mechanically, we'll come back to the mechanics a little bit more in depth later, but it's all standard fare. It's the lore and the setting and the story it tells that are all capital W weird that make it such a special game. So yeah, let's talk about the story. So Remedy, their kind of gimmick for the past decade now has been finding weird and inventive ways to integrate live action film into their games without it being a her
We're not
story.
even going to talk about our Immortality today, are we?
Oh, we are.
Okay.
That's the main thing I want to talk about. But yeah, they have all sorts of live action clips with real actors.
Alan Wake's commercials.
Yeah, is it Night Springs?
That's like the only live action in there, yeah.
Yes, you come across CRTs with this like Twin Peaksy in-universe TV show in Alan Wake called Night Springs. And it's all very Twilight Zone. And that's how Alan Wake did it. Quantum Break was maybe the most ambitious, where in between levels of the game, they would just hit you with a full episode of live action TV that they produced for the game.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't even like loaded on the disc. It would stream to you from like a cloud server somewhere.
You have to have a persistent internet connection to
to
play that
watch
game?
the Quantum Break television show. Yeah.
Wow.
And it had like Peter Baelish from Game of Thrones in there. I don't know the actor's real name, but yeah, they had some prestige acting in that Quantum Break TV show. There was some budget behind it. They've continued the gimmick here with Casper Darling. The character, Dr. Casper Darling, best character in the game. He is the head of research at the Federal Bureau of Control. He's a real Poindexter-y type, but he's charismatic and funny. And you keep encountering him on projector slides as you go through the game. And he explains the lore and the world building about objects of power and all the weird, unknowable things that the Federal Bureau of Control investigates, the supernatural, and trying to make sense of things like the astral plane and how dangerous, like oftentimes people die or he talks about deaths and astronauts, people they send into the astral plane. They can't photograph it through conventional means, but they can take brain scans of people who are diving in and try to take images that way. All sorts of lore is explained through these live action videos. They're a delight. He brings a lot of charisma, and I'll say this, Heath.
Yeah.
A late game clip you just stumble upon. It's another Dr. Darling clip. And when I'm playing a video game, I'm very unemotive. I'd say borderline stoic, on account of how focused I am on what is happening on screen.
You're not signing into Hearthstone and with every new card draw, just PogChamp face YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah, I'd be a very uncompelling streamer. You would not tune in to a Chris live stream. But the last live action Dr. Darling clip you encounter, I was bursting out laughing. I was that amused by it. So hats off to Remedy for taking bold risks with the live action stuff. The environments are constantly maybe the best part of the game. Heavy influences of brutalist architecture.
Yeah.
Like things constantly perspective changing. The oldest house is supposed to be this dynamic living organism.
Uh-oh. Arcane.
Yeah. It's not that dynamic. Like, I'm pretty sure things are just scripted on a trigger. Like, you walk across this threshold, the room's going to change around like this. It's not like you are constantly changing and rechanging things. It's kind of a...
As far as dynamics goes, Control is mezzo forte, and Dishonored 2 is... No, it's the other way around. Control is mezzo piano, and Dishonored is fortissimo.
Is this a classical music reference?
Bailey, I got those dynamics, right?
Or is this a fluid dynamics? What is this?
Yeah, so whatever is the strongest one is fortissimo, and the whatever is the weakling is piano. There you go.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to have to look that up later
Yeah.
to be fully informed.
Is it a spoiler what's the most powerful object?
Ooh, you need like a tier list ranking of the objects of power.
Because all I know is rubber ducky, which is pretty up there.
Yeah, that would be a bit we could do, but there are revelations, there's fun story developments. There are other wacky characters like the janitor Ati.
Thank you, darling.
That looks great.
Spelled ATI.
I don't know, it's Swedish.
Oh, probably double ATI.
I think there's an H in there somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a constant delight. You're never as despite the fact that the whole game takes place in what is supposed to be an office building. The setting itself is probably the best character. And then it's a pleasure to play throughout as well. The telekinesis is the highlight. It's not that taxing to engage with. If you hit the right bumper to grab an object, you don't have to think about it too much. As long as you're holding down that bumper, something will come whirling from across the room and enter your grasp that you can then hurl. You don't have to be too precise about it. There's some telekinesis precision involved with the light puzzles that are throughout the game. But when it comes to combat, you're just grab and chuck. Anything goes. Even the corpses of the enemies you're dispatching, those could be grabbed and hurled.
As far as the telekinesis in games from most fun to least fun, is it Control, Breath of the Wild, Dead Space, Gmod?
I'll say just nothing else is coming to mind that eclipses how satisfying it was to use in Control.
Damn.
I think it's the new gold standard.
Damn.
Part of it was just the number of physics objects they cram into these environments. Things are...
Fallout 76 would be having an aneurysm.
Environments are somewhat destructible. It was a real visual showcase whenever you put your telekinesis powers to use. There's other fun ones like floating around, and there's some more niche ones that I won't spoil, but the power fantasy element of the game was there. You definitely feel like you're a badass by the end of it, which is great. And the guns were no slouch either.
Gun.
Right. It is technically one gun that changes forms, which is it's effectively multiple guns. But in lore, you're only holding one gun, the service weapon. I wanted to call attention to one of the highlights of the game. You've played Alan Wake.
Yes,
You
I
talked
beat it.
about it on this very show.
Yeah.
Do you recall the fight set piece that's like on a concert stage?
Yeah, that's what I called American Bayonetta.
Oh, okay. With the old gods of Asgard?
Right. It was music with vocals.
Yes. And how that's like the best fight in all of Alan Wake.
Yeah.
There's an analogous old gods of Asgard moment in Control, and it's even better.
Ooh.
Honestly, worth playing just to experience that.
Okay.
Oh, fun universe connections to Alan Wake.
Oh, for sure. Like there's files.
Yes, there's files. The second DLC is explicitly about Alan Wake.
Oh.
Like you get
The service weapon becomes a flashlight.
you get phone calls on the hotline from Alan himself. I'm not. That's not a joke. You do.
Okay.
The actor for Alan Wake, I think, is Dr. Darling in this game. Same guy, which is fun. They use recurring cast in their games, which is cool.
You know who's in Death Stranding, by the way?
No.
Okay.
I know Mads Mikkelsen is in there.
I don't want to spoil it now.
Okay.
Well, you wouldn't recognize him.
Okay.
Like one of the Shelters guys is Max Payne.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
But
fun.
like you wouldn't recognize his actor
Probably not.
or probably his voice. So that's why I spoiled it.
I'll have to look it up.
You know who else is in the Shelters? Peter Beckley. What's the Game of Thrones guy?
Peter Baelish.
Yeah, Peter Baelish.
I found Jeff Keighley in there.
Yay.
I'm winding down on things to talk about with Control.
Big recommend
It is a big recommend.
to like action gamers.
Yes. Action gamers who are down for a story that you want to pay attention to. I sifted through so many logs and they were worth the read. You know, I wasn't picking up books in Skyrim, but
Your loss.
I was reading the logs in Control. And also perfect length. It was wrapped up pretty completely in 20 hours. I was feeling
That's
writing
longer than I thought.
Yeah, fairly long. I mean, I did a lot of the side activities as well to chase down all those achievements. It did feel long in the tooth by the time I wrapped up both DLCs. Some of that felt a little unnecessary. But as far as the base game is concerned, great pacing, great length.
Right.
They chose the right scope and scale for the game. And that's Control. Oh no, the best.
Oh no, that's
I found one very small, innocuous detail that kind of blew my socks off. And I thought for a second, this visual gimmick that happened was the power of ray tracing. But then I flipped ray tracing off just to see what it would look like. And it was as compelling. So this wasn't due to ray tracing and that being
But
impressive.
you thought it was because it was so good.
It was so good. Here's what happened. I just encountered another Dr. Darling video presentation being projected up on a wall from a projector. And I was walking around. And like I said, everything in the environment is a physics object. And I accidentally knocked up against
Even the subtitles.
I knocked up against the table with the film projector on it. And it fell on the ground. And now it was right up against the corner of the room. And right in the corner, the film projection live action video was still being projected, but now it was so much closer to the wall. It was just this tiny blip.
Yeah.
But it still kept the correct orientation. The sizing had been changed. And it's like, whoa. And then I used telekinesis to pick up the projector itself. And when you're holding these items in your mind powers, they're like rotating around. And the film projection was rotating around the room, dynamically adjusting its size for all the surfaces Dr. Darling was being cast onto. That was crazy. Isn't that? It was mind-blowing to me.
My mind is blown.
Like, I just assumed as soon as you knocked the projector off, that would be it. They cut the footage. But no, it kept going. It was a real light emitting from the projector. It was awesome. And that just goes to show that Remedy, they pay attention to the small details. And for players like me, it pays dividends. I loved it.
Big recommend.
Big recommend on Control. Heath, do you have anything you'd like to cut in here with?
Well, I think Control is in that box with my Xbox, but I haven't opened it because I've been so busy setting up Wi-Fi 6. I'm looking forward to playing this game, half for the reasons that you say, but I also kind of want to go into what objects of power are the most powerful and why, and that's what's gaining my interest the most. What's gauging my interest the most in Prey is like the mimics. It's just those little...
Very specific things.
The little like punctuation marks in these games that are like, I'm gonna play them, but it's primarily so I can reopen this conversation.
I'd go so far as to say an Xbox with Control installed on it is kind of an object of power itself.
Oh, that's lost on me. I'm not following you.
That was just a testament to the game's quality.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, good. That's well put.
Yes. Very cool. I'm glad the game has piqued your interest enough to maybe try it out. Have you been able to play anything? I know you've been moving house. You've been driving to my house to watch the Game Awards.
We played more Disco Elysium. We talked to Joyce and Everart and Measurehead, and we got the body down.
So this is the Disco Elysium, the final cut now, right?
Yeah.
Which I was reading the description of like the Steam page recently.
Where are you now?
It added a new area and stuff.
Probably in the mess of apartments, I would imagine.
Okay. It seemed like a bigger update than I initially realized.
We'll find it. We'll let you know. But
yeah, please do.
Disco at the pace we're going, it's gonna be March, April by the time we finish it. And as you know from the Game Awards, March and April are stacked.
Yes. Maybe April's the one breather, but yeah. But February, March, May, June, all the other surrounding months.
Every other month in 2023 is stacked.
Safe to say the game drought is over.
Oh yeah, you were dying of thirst, and,
right?
And I was like, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, good for that.
Have you changed your character build this time around?
We're getting good contributions from Logic. She's passing all of these checks. We failed we failed like one check.
Great rolls.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's a bummer because some of the funny things that happens when you fail checks.
Yes. Yeah. Failure in Disco Elysium can be just as entertaining.
Right.
As success.
So I got like nothing to say about Disco just yet.
That's fine. Like, I played just a tiny bit of Bayonetta 3, but I have nothing to say about it. Oh. And besides, I have too much other games to talk about. So moving on.
I'll say this about Bailey, more so about Bailey than about Disco.
Sure.
Good thing she's not in earshot. She's so well-meaning that when she was talking to Easy Leo outside the shipping container, and she was saying, and she chose a dialogue option that said, "I'm glad you're having fun licking your boss's boots," or like picking up just being as his lackey. I'm editorializing it a little bit, making it more pejorative than it was, but she clicked on it meaning well, and then Kim reacts as you might have expected if you were putting down the working man.
I just don't want to upset Kim. Kim is the best friend I've ever had, and every time I upset him, I feel a piece of my heart die.
I can empathize with that feeling. You never want to let that guy down.
Right?
So yeah, that's the one thing with like I kind of wanted to red pill Bailey with this game, but she means her heart is so pure. She doesn't know what to expect from like the fascist character. Or like the loyalists, and like Joyce is kind of an uptight lady, and Everard is kind of a big fat man. But I can't. We've yet to have the moment where she's like peeled back the layers and said like, I'm siding with this for that reason, and we'll get there. But yeah, just on the surface level, Measurehead is just a creepy guy that likes. That is too hung up on complexions.
Was he the ethno pure guy?
He's like the Destiny 2 ethnicity tier list. You ever read that? You're familiar with the satirical news group Hard Drive, right?
No, not at all.
No? Okay, they're the Onion, but for video games. You of all people should be following them.
Okay, it sounds like I should be.
So remember when did I say Destiny 2? I meant to say Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2, okay.
Remember when Overwatch 2 came out with their character tier lists that assigned point values to races?
Yes, you educated me on this.
Yeah, and like their parent company, King.
Activision Blizzard King.
Yeah.
Is King involved with overseeing Overwatch?
No, but they're equally culpable. There was like a GDC PowerPoint slide with King's logo, and it was like understanding diversity, and it had like a dwarf black minstrel looking African tribe member as like the mascot for that slide, and it was yikes.
Okay.
Just so tone deaf. And so Hard Drive mocked the whole story as it developed, saying, as the headline reads, Measurehead appointed to like CEO, like head of diversity at King, and using that as a critical lens for real life events such as that is exactly why Measurehead was written. So it was perfect, and I'm waiting for that to like fall into place with all the other characters in Disco.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, Bailey has not taken drugs yet.
She's also abstaining from drugs in Disco Elysium.
She's a straight arrow. She patted the mailbox.
I patted the mailbox. It was a good mailbox. But I'm not breaking. Oh, jeez. I'm not breaking HIPAA, but I see the effects of drugs on my patients, and they go outside and feel and think they're invincible, and then they get frostbite, and then they're stuck in the hospital for 6 to 12 months because they have no place to go, and they keep needing regrafts on their burns. It's just really bad. So don't take drugs, kids.
Kuno might not care, but Bailey does.
I freaking hate that little rascal. Kuno is just like the source of like, I don't know. There's no redeeming qualities. That's all I have to say.
Damn. There are some Kuno fans out there, but I would not be among them. I'm with Bailey on this one.
Hopefully Kuno returns in Disco Elysium 2.
Although
he's the final boss.
There have been controversies striking that studio.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to go into it.
Corruption,
lawsuits and withheld money,
But that's a game neither of us have played because it doesn't exist, nor will it.
But let's talk about a game that does exist.
And one of us has played.
Yes. So I've been playing nothing but bangers recently, and the one I'm most excited to discuss, which we'll do so right now, it's Immortality.
Woo!
This is the latest game from Sam Barlow of Her Story fame and Telling Lies. Another game heavily featuring live action footage of real actors. So, Immortality, a relatively recent game, came out at the tail end of August this year. And, like so many new releases, I added it to my Steam wishlist and just said, I'll get to it. So what you may be asking me, Chris, is what jumped it to the front of the queue?
Chris, why did it jump to the front of the queue?
I saw in my YouTube subscription inbox that came in from one of my favorite video essayist and critic on games.
Not Mark Brown?
Jacob Geller.
Yeah.
I saw a thumbnail of his latest video came in, and all it said was, the best moment in a video game this year is a hidden scene in Immortality.
Oh.
Didn't click on the video. That was enough for me. Jacob, I said, you've sold me. And so I proceeded to buy and download Immortality and played it sight unseen. Right then and there. This was over Thanksgiving. I binged the game over like a 3 or 4 day period. Saw every single clip. Got every achievement. Went the whole 9 yards. Listened to all the spoiler content. And I won't bury the lead here, Heath. This is among my favorite games.
This is a must play for Chris?
This is a must play. This is in the echelon of like top 20 to 25 games of all time. Immortality blew me away. So let's dig into why.
I should put Tacoma back on the shelf before I play Immortality?
Oh yeah, Tacoma, uninstall. You need the hard drive space for Immortality. Every gig counts. So people are familiar with Sam Barlow's games.
It's on there's a desktop shortcut for it since we talked about it.
For Tacoma.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I don't mean to hurl tons of shades
Play
at
it before you
Tacoma.
install it.
It's fine. It's no Immortality.
How do we know you're not just a Madame simp?
Her name is Manon.
What did I say?
Madame. You're talking about the lead actress of the game, Manon Gage, who was snubbed at the Game Awards.
Right.
I haven't played God of War Ragnarok yet. I'm sure Christopher Judge is great. But Manon Gage, she's operating on like she is such a challenging role, and she nailed it. And I think it's her acting debut, so even more impressive. Anyway.
You like Senua's Saga.
Let's talk about Sam Barlow's catalog of games here. I was introduced to his work through Her Story, probably back in 2016 or so. And that is a game about watching found footage, scrubbing through it. There is one woman being interviewed in one room, and you play it for a couple hours. I finished Her Story in one sitting. It's a very cool idea, executed in like the minimum viable product.
Yeah.
The core conceit to Sam Barlow's library of games is that you are navigating through the footage based on searching keywords that stand out to you. If you want to find clips with the word murder in it in Her Story, you type murder into the search bar and watch the relevant footage.
Yeah.
And it was super cool. I loved Her Story. It's not a game that super stuck with me, but I definitely appreciated the originality behind it. Flash forward to 2022, Immortality is the third game. You have a lot of experience with telling lies. I skipped that one.
Oh.
But Immortality feels like what would happen if Sam Barlow received a blank check and fully realized the ambition of this great gameplay idea. So once again, you were just watching found footage. What is the conceit of Immortality? It's a really cool setup. So when you boot it up, the premise is this is presented as if this is a real-life set of historical found footage of 3 movies recorded in the late 60s, early 70s, and late 1990s. 3 movies that never saw the light of day. This is like a documentary historical piece. All 3 movies centered on this aspiring actress, Marissa Marcel, played by Manon Gage. The core mystery you're solving is, hey, why didn't these movies ever air in theaters? And why did this very promising young actress, Marissa Marcel, disappear after the filming of the 3rd film? And this is like the story of what happened. And once again, you are jumping around between clips, kind of at your own discretion. There's a new search mechanic, though, this time. Instead of typing in keywords into a search bar, what you do is you get to point and click on any person or object in the film shot of whatever clip you're watching, and it does a match cut randomly to a different clip featuring the object you clicked on. That was a wordy way to describe it, but if just as an example, if you're watching a clip with Marissa Marcel, the actress in it, and you go and hover over Marissa and click on her, it's going to randomly jump you into one of the hundreds of other clips with Marissa in it and match cut you over to that clip. Sometimes not even at the start. You could be mid-clip and you'll get bounced around. And that's how you search through this giant repository of film. Did that explanation make sense to you, Heath?
God, imagine if they did that for 13 Sentinels.
If it could be even more confusing. But yes, this game, its size and scope is much bigger. There are 3 feature-length films in this game that you can watch. Way out of order, mind you. Also, it's super impressive that this game, the film itself is supposed to span decades. So they are period appropriately filmed. Like the late 1960s film, Ambrosia, is filmed in a 4:3 aspect ratio. Yeah. It's kind of grainy. It's very cool. And then you jump to the 1990s and it's widescreen, and the sensibilities of the time have changed. And yeah, so that's super cool. There's like behind the scenes footage. So you get like cast interviews. You get just
featurettes.
Yes, you get like behind the scenes. You get rapping parties. There's all sorts of extra context layered in between the actual events of the film. And not to mention, what's so tricky about many of the actors' roles, especially Marissa Marcel herself, is that the actors are playing actors who are people in the universe of the game, and then they're also their roles in the game. And there's 3 films. So Marissa and Manon Manon Gage is the real person. Marissa Marcel is the actress that Manon Gage plays, who also has a bunch of different roles. So Manon Gage has like 5 roles in this game.
It's like Tropic Thunder.
I have not watched Tropic Thunder.
Robert Downey Jr. plays an Australian actor playing a black man. So he's wearing blackface.
Okay.
You've seen the clips.
Maybe.
Okay.
I live under a rock when it comes to movies. But yeah, this sounds analogous. So tricky to parse. Before we talk into the mechanical side, I want to say, why should you care? There are
because it's an essential Chris game.
It's an essential Chris game, and the mystery of this game is like an onion. There are so many layers to it. There's the first layer of, it's just kind of cool to figure out what are the plots of these movies, because they're all fun movies.
Okay.
And they're told to you way out of order. All the movies have their twists to them, their big dramatic scenes, and you want to just discover what the plots were. And that's fun. And then you go one layer deeper, and you get into the mystery of, hey, these films seem fun and like they'd be successful. Why weren't they aired in theaters? What happened to the actual actors behind these films? Marissa Marcel, the actress, there's the one film in the 60s, the 70s, and then she disappears for decades and reemerges back in the 90s. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Why did she disappear after that film? So there's the meta layer of why were these films commercial duds or never saw the light of day.
Box office bombs, yeah. I'm assuming they age men on up for the 90s film.
And there's another interesting part of the game where not really.
Uh-huh.
And there's kind of an explanation for that as well. So moving on. So there's that whole second layer, which is even more compelling.
Right.
And there's a third layer of meta mystery that I am loath to even discuss at length. So I will just leave the third layer of secret stuff. Just know that's in the game somewhere. There's even more
The
to
Steam
uncover.
achievements.
No, we're not talking about Sayonara Wild Hearts achievements here. So yeah, the game, it tantalizes you with so much information.
Oh, sorry. I just ruined the surprise for me.
For you? No, there's no way you've ruined the surprise. for me.
Immortality.
Don't even worry. Like that.
Whew. Okay.
That doesn't. They wouldn't name the game something that would ruin the surprise.
They wouldn't name it. Forget Bridget Strand is a BT.
What?
Imagine.
Okay. Yeah, they wouldn't do that. So, all sorts of fun mysteries. And here's a potential point that could have been frustrating for me is as I'm doing my investigation and I'm burrowing deep on Minsky, the second film, and I'm in Minsky mode. But like I said, as you click on objects in the environment, it could send you in any random clip direction. So you're going to get bounced around occasionally from film to film. And I would think that was going to be a point of frustration. Yeah, whiplash. Like, no, I just want to crack the case open on Minsky before I double back to Ambrosia. And the game says, no, you don't have control over that. We tell you what you see
You
next.
have to play this mech battle before you can get back to Juro.
Right. And I thought that would be frustrating. I ended up not minding purely because of the strength of all three films are all so good, even though I'd have the rug pulled out from under me and I'd be done.
It's such a nice rug. You don't even mind.
Right. You fall back on another rug.
Is this Persian leather?
And it's even more cushiony. Yeah. So the constant context switching you have to do in your head wasn't the pain point I thought it might be, just because each film is so fun in its own right. And they're all so different. One is a steamy, religious love escapade.
We can't be together. You're Episcopalian.
One is a murder mystery. One is like
the 1960s is the murder mystery.
70s.
No? Oh, all right.
And then the more modern one, Two of Everything.
Is a rom-com?
No, it's like
She's the gal that's got it all.
It's like about a pop star singer, but thriller kind of stuff.
Oh.
So yeah, they're all archetypes of movies that would exist, but they're all really well done. And there's more to say. But I was going to say, okay, the actual mechanical thinking part that you do as the player of the game is finding the clips you haven't seen yet. And so that involves some detective work on your part. Here's what I mean by that. A huge swath of the clips in the game feature the main actress, Marissa Marcel. So if you want to find something, you could spend a lot of time just clicking on Marissa over and over again. Always click on Marissa, and you'll see a big chunk of the clips. But if you want to find the more niche clips, you need to start clicking on more niche objects and think about, hey, what's something that I haven't thought of before?
A rubber ducky.
It's constantly like, what's it called? Like an I Spy book or something?
Yeah, I spy.
Yeah, you're combing the environments for things that might pop up in other parts of the game that you have yet to click on and investigate. The way it worked in practice for me was I'd do a deep dive on this actor, and then I'd move to the next actor, and then maybe I'd do fruit for a while, or then move on to snakes. And yeah, so you go down all these separate rabbit holes of clicking and getting random clips that are all kind of connected together if you're clicking on the same object over and over again. It's cool. I feel like it's maybe even more approachable than the Her Story type in the search bar. Mm-hmm. Because this, you can just kind of point and click. And by the way, the user interface, super accessible.
I've heard.
You can fast forward. You can rewind easily. You can jump to the end of a clip. You can jump to the beginning. Navigating through the film is not an annoyance, rest assured. So yeah, I'm raving about the mystery. I'm raving about the performances. All the actors are so well cast. It's so ambitious. Here's one fun thing. This was Thanksgiving, and this is right when I was starting to play Immortality. I wasn't really sure what game I was going to play. I booted up Immortality, and I booted up Resident Evil 2 Remake. I was playing these two games. First, I played the opening hour of each to see which one I wanted to stick with for a while.
Uh-huh.
This is my introduction to Resident Evil, by the way. And I did the iconic convenience store scene.
Hamburger.
And I arrived at the police department. Yeah, the hamburger. So yeah, famous horror game. It's pretty cool. I liked it. The opening hour of Immortality frightened me more than the opening hour of Resident Evil 2.
Hey, sick.
And that's partially because with Resident Evil 2, I knew what I was getting into. There's going to be some zombies. There's going to be some ammo scarcity. I'm sure Leon can handle it. Immortality, I did not know what I was getting into. This game is wild. It goes to such strange places. This is one of the most capital M mature games I've ever played.
Ooh. We just talked about Disco.
Yeah, there's another one that would be in the running. But yeah, don't play this around children.
Okay.
Don't play in the same zip code as a minor. Yeah. So listeners, be warned about that. The game has a very verbose content warning at the start of it.
Oh.
And yeah, the horror part of it is just you will see stuff happening and you'll have no idea what to make of it. There are some chilling scenes in the game, some awesome performances. There were long stretches of the game where my heart was in my throat. There was one scene in particular where I just blurted out, "What the f*** was that?" to myself in an empty room.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my heart was racing. Yeah, such a strong emotional reaction to this game.
Oh my.
I'm probably, I'd say I'm overhyping it, but I can't overhype it. It was that good. Immortality is aces. Let's talk about my one criticism.
Okay.
The only one I have is
the rhythm section.
You've made that joke. I want Mobius Tube's listeners
supercut
to comb through every time Heath has pulled out the rhythm section joke. That'd be fun. And then we can match cut to all of them. The one criticism I have, and this won't affect everyone who plays the game, but for the players who get as invested as I was, and I was just so adamant that I had to see every clip in the game, and I had to earn every achievement, and I had to fully complete Immortality. If you get sucked in like me, it is a bit of a slog to see everything. By nature of the fact, maybe that last clip you haven't seen features like, I don't know, an apple and a ring in it. Uh-huh. But you could keep clicking on apples and rings, and the game might just not show you that last clip. It'll just show you, it randomly jumps you to any clip in its hundreds of film clips with an apple or a ring. So there's a heavy random number generator element.
You're starting to learn the dialogue of the scenes that keep showing up over and over.
Oh yeah. you get so proficient at it, you see one still of a scene and you're like, I've seen it before. And you're just on to the next one. Click, 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 click. So I'll say like the first 9 hours I spent with the game were paced impeccably. It was a constant influx of new information, the occasional doubling back on something you've seen before. But on the first 9 hours of the game, just by nature of the quantity of clips that exist and the small subsection you've seen so far, you're constantly being drip fed new information. Then around hour 10, 11, 12, it's more of a parody. About half the time you're seeing new info, half the time you're seeing redundant clips you've seen before. And then in the final, I ended up playing it for about 15 hours. Those final few hours, real slog of just constantly seeing information I've seen before, just trying to weed out the last couple random clips that were still unknown to me. I had to consult an external guide on a website. It was like, oh, you haven't seen, I had to like comb through my entire collection, realize I was missing Minsky scene 15B and 43A, and then consult the guide for what items are most unique to those scenes, and then just hope that if I keep clicking on those, I'll eventually strike gold. So, the completionist perspective of Immortality, kind of a headache. And what could they have done to solve that? Maybe behind the scenes, the clip finding algorithm could have adjusted your odds to be a little more favorable to find new information as you once you reach the threshold of you've seen 90% of the clips, you've seen 95% of the clips. Once you get down to just you're missing 5% of the unseen clips, that still represents like 10 or 15 film reels. So yeah, that was my main criticism. The last couple hours I spent with the game were a slog, but everything else so eclipses that problem that it's not even that big of a deal.
Required reading.
Yeah, and yeah, this is a game you and Bailey, you could totally play it together.
Yeah.
And I heavily recommend you do so. I would love to talk spoilers with you.
We're gonna.
Yeah. And that was Immortality. Completely awesome game. Sam Barlow and the team at Half Mermaid, bravo, everyone. It was great.
Now imagine if the characters in Immortality were named by Hideo Kojima.
Perfect. We can transition right there.
Act good, man.
So the final game I've been playing in depth is Death Stranding, finally.
Woo.
I'm playing the director's cut on Steam, and I am like 13 hours in. I'm in chapter 3.
Just nothing. Okay, yeah, good.
And yes, so
the game has started.
The game has started. Yes, that's a salient point right there. So let me tell you about the ups and downs of my Death Stranding experience so far. Much like the
literal ups and downs.
The literal ups and downs, Sam Porter
trying
Bridges.
to get to the wind farm.
Right.
Yikes.
Yes. The BT infested forest right at the end.
Right.
Spooky. Okay. Death Stranding. Yeah. I don't know what to make of this game, or I didn't for a while. And I don't.
Chris at 13 hours. I don't know what to make of this. Chris at 90 hours. I don't know what to make of this game.
Yeah, right. So when people say like, I don't know about this game, dude, I don't mean it as a message of condemning it. I mean it literally. Like I didn't know what to make of it for a while. So you opens up with multiple hours heavy with cutscenes, as is Kojima's flair. He's been known to do so. And I'd call myself mostly a Kojima virgin. So here's my limited Kojima experience. I played, what was that? Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, like the little appetizer to the Phantom Pain.
Yeah.
I started playing the Phantom Pain, but quickly dropped it. Maybe made it 5 hours in. And then I did quite enjoy Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, but that's more of a Platinum game than a Kojima game. I'm sure he consulted on the story, but yeah, that's the entirety of my Kojima.
Sorry, what was that? Repeat the last one for me.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Oh, Revengeance. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. With Senator Armstrong.
That's a nice point, Chris.
Right. What's your source on that?
My source is that I made it up.
Yeah. So this is my first proper full Kojima title that I'm going to play, and I'm going to see it through to the end. I promise. Especially with DS2 coming.
You gotta just the last 6 hours of this game are not prerequisites for DS2.
Interesting. I feel like that would be the most prerequisite.
If you play like 60 hours, you're ready for DS2.
Okay.
It's not. It might harm your DS2 experience.
Really? So, Death Stranding is simultaneous. All right, I was talking about the opening impressions. Opening cutscenes, building up the world, the lore, building some intrigue. Okay, I'm interested to see what Fragile's all about, and this Die Hard man, and
don't get caught in the rain.
Yes, the time fall. Interesting.
Super
all
interesting.
This proprietary lingo, which I'm sure Kojima always does, but BTs and BBs,
Chiral
and,
network.
Yeah, Chiralium and Dooms, and it's
Repatriate.
Like mumbo jumbo. Yeah. So much. You need a glossary with this game.
It's la le lule lo.
Yeah. And the character names, Die Hard Man and
Dead Man and Heart Man.
Higgs. Moving on. So the deluge of opening cutscenes built some intrigue. And then I got onto the part where I was making my first deliveries, especially that early one where you need to cremate a certain body. And I was like,
that's not a spoiler if you say who the body is. It's like
the President of the United States.
Yeah, you go cremate the president who is your mom.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that connection. But yeah, that was the second mission. Sorry if anyone is offended we said that.
That's like, what do you mean you break out of that special area and pray through the mirror or window?
That is a cool moment.
What do you mean?
I was greeted with the thrill of making my first deliveries. Really excited when they introduced that you can pull up the map and chart your own path.
Yeah.
Quite like that. I like the pre-planning involved of here's your plan in theory. This is the expected course I want to take. I'll avoid this treacherous terrain. I'll go around the mule encampment. That's fun.
It only gets better.
Awesome. And it feels so much more consequential that it's you, the player, drawing the path instead of like the GPS in a Grand Theft Auto game showing you the shortest route. The fact that you get to make the decision behind every curve of your projected course. It just makes
no one to blame but yourself.
Exactly.
If you get stuck on the wrong side of a waterfall.
So maybe in practice, it's not that different from the game, kind of giving you a path to follow, but it feels so different, and I like that. But yeah, there was some initial thrill behind my first few deliveries, just because, like, ooh, you can go through this wide open environment any way you want, and will you be able to make it?
I like the gameplay loop.
Yeah. So I'd say the opening 4 hours or so, I was quite compelled by Death Stranding. And then I hit the doldrums, what I'll call them, of hours
Like
5,
7 and 8? Okay.
5 through 10,
Mm-hmm.
So this is like mostly chapter 2, I'd say. It started to get quite repetitive. Making deliveries to the same couple distribution centers.
Distro center to that distro center.
Yes. And then it seemed like the main points of tension and suspense in the game were, okay, run away from the mules and then creep around and hold your breath around the BT-infested areas for the stealth sections. And what was bothering me was on my big deliveries, it felt like the density of actual decisions I needed to make were quite sparse. I was finding myself kind of bored. Things were kind of trivial. There were just long stretches of, not a whole lot going on, which is different for a AAA game for sure. Like, it's not action all the time. It's sometimes you're just kind of going on your hike and there's nothing really around to stress you out. And a more charitable way to put it is instead of those long stretches of just hiking on foot being boring, it almost gets me in like a meditative state or something adjacent to meditation, where you're just kind of in a flow, charting where you want to go, watching for any treacherous footing, This is a resource management game.
Right.
That's what it is. Making sure your boots don't wear out, making sure Sam isn't too tired, making sure BB isn't upset, or gets what's the condition BB will get?
Autotoxemia.
Yeah, thank you. Making sure the container durability of your cargo doesn't get eroded by the timefall. Yeah, it's a big resource management game, and I'm kind of here for it. It's cool to see a AAA game do what, I don't know, like a European-style strategy board game does. Kind of.
True, yeah.
So now I'm in Chapter 3, and I'm out of the doldrums.
Yeah, you made it out of Port Knot. You made it to Port Knot City.
I did make it to Port Knot City. And now I am super into the game.
Okay.
I think what created my current wave of excitement I'm experiencing is the first time I constructed a road.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I get to automate the tedium.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this game is going to be a big, satisfying treadmill. And I'm like, I am here for that. So I've got my first bike.
Yeah.
And I'm just speeding across on this elevated road above the mule territory that used to be a major headache for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here for this. I love that the difficulty curve has collapsed now that I've put in the time and resources to flesh out the infrastructure of the road, and you can get help from other players. I just unlocked the ability to request help from other people playing the game to contribute resources to my road network. That seems like fun. Now every time I log into the game, I get greeted with a big chunk of likes from everything.
Thousands of likes.
Yes. And I'm sure that just exponentially ramps up as I contribute more.
Depends on how nice your bridge placements are,
right?
For the road, how much you do to totally fill up a road. That's huge.
Yes. So I have fully integrated myself into the loop of this game, and I am ready to ride that loop. So yeah, Death Stranding is simultaneously kind of exactly what I expected going in, but my reaction to the game is kind of the polar opposite. I was expecting to tolerate the long stretches of delivery making and walking to get the story reward, the cutscene payoff of this cool narrative Kojima has woven. But in reality, it's the reverse. I'm here for the deliveries and that dopamine payoff of a delivery.
I want those stars.
Yeah, I want the stars. I want my cargo to arrive in pristine condition. I'm here for the delivery mechanical aspect, and I'm kind of tolerating the cutscenes. They're just so inscrutable. They're hinting at so much more going on that I'm hoping there's payoff there at the end.
Me too. I'm hoping for payoff in DS2.
No. Yeah, it's just so much tomfoolery with this story. So we'll see how I end up feeling about the narrative.
That's
Death
why
Stranding.
I wanted to play it with you, and I almost thought of hopping on and seeing if my contributions would be cross-platform, because you're playing it on what again?
On Steam?
Okay, if I have Epic Games.
Surely there's some overlap.
Yeah, okay.
There's also some, I'm assuming this is only in the Steam release, but there, you know how those small side lost cargo quests?
Oh, is there a companion cube?
There's a companion cube.
That's nice.
And I got rewarded with
a cake.
Half-Life's protagonist, Gordon. What's his name?
Gordon Freeman.
Gordon Freeman. I got his glasses.
Nice.
And I wear those all the time now.
Well, heck, you're going to unlock the Santa hat in a timely fashion.
Oh, for the seasonal event?
I think it's all not seasonal. It's just part of the game.
Okay.
It's like the glasses.
Yeah. And in some of the emails I get in, some characters tell me they mention the game Half-Life by name and say I'm such a big fan of this game.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's weird. Yes, and yeah. I really like Death Stranding, even more than I thought I would. But there was that period, that hour 5 to hour 10 period, where I flirted with the thought of dropping the game. But
then you would have missed out
through.
on the trike. And yeah.
Yes, I powered through. I can't wait to see how things further develop. And yeah. What do you think, Heath?
I think that your 5 to 10 hour stint is not an isolated incident.
Yeah.
but you're just going to have to think about how much grass is greener on the other side of the time fall.
Okay.
It's the most I could have hoped for with your gameplay. Yeah.
Sweet.
I'll hop on and add some more fortuitous generators along your path.
Yeah, please do. Feel free to pitch in some extra resin if you have an abundance.
I got ceramic for days.
Perfect. And that's everything I've been playing.
Perfect.
Hoo boy. So, how about we take a quick break and then talk about Game Awards, some latest news and stuff. We'll see you then.
Did you watch Mark Brown's Fortnite video?
Yeah, I did actually.
Was it enough to sway you to drop in the battle bus?
If anyone could convince me, it's if Mark Brown could form an alliance with Jacob Geller and hit me with concentrated content on Fortnite, that might push me over the edge.
Saying, Chris, we're getting together for trios.
You want to hear how much sway Jacob Geller has over me and my game taste?
How much?
He just released his top 10 games of the year video. He's going to get me to try Vampire Survivors.
Oh, no.
A game I've derided previously. But I'm morbidly curious now.
Oh, man. Jacob Geller is too normie for me.
No, dude.
I can't get with it.
What have you watched of his?
I started watching his Sekiro video, and I don't know. He just
is that his Can It Be Done Perfectly video?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Maybe not his best.
He lacks the Tim Rogers joie de vivre and the Mark Brown British.
I'd recommend one of his. He has this series called The Fear of. There's the fear of cold, fear of depths, and fear of some third thing. Deep underwater. Those are all great.
Big things underwater.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's just Subnautica. Oh, and Soma. It's got to be Soma. All right.
And we're back.
Yep.
Heath,
Yeah, that's me.
let's talk Game Awards.
Yep.
We watched the show together this year.
And boy, were we rewarded this time for tuning in as hard as we did.
Yeah, I thought announcements were strong this year.
World premiere.
Coming off of 2021's Game Awards was the most bored I've ever been watching. 2022 was maybe the most excited I was. Mm-hmm. It's close. Do you want to touch on the awards themselves at all, or just dive right into those announcements?
Let's just talk about how God of War Ragnarok earned as many awards as we thought it would, but not the award they wanted.
Yeah, they got the highest quantity of awards, but they missed the big one.
Right.
Elden Ring took home the GOTY, to neither of our surprise. Were there any big snubs you wanted to highlight?
Immortality.
Yeah, I think Immortality should have got performance, and maybe that would have been enough. But yeah, Immortality got nothing. That's a shame. There was actually one big snub, I thought, in the fact that this is the year Halo Infinite would have been eligible for Best Multiplayer.
Ongoing game.
Or ongoing game. Halo Infinite appeared nowhere in the awards, and I thought that was an oversight. I thought it should have at least been in Best Multiplayer, maybe Best Action. But yeah, I think people just forgot about it because it was a December game last year.
Fortnite didn't win anything either.
Correct.
Sign of the times. We've hit saturation.
With what? Fortnite saturation?
The reason I brought it up initially was because Master Chief is in Fortnite, so I wanted it to be like it's a Pyrrhic victory, but Fortnite didn't even win anyway, so it's
right.
like
I mean, everyone's in Fortnite. Geralt's in Fortnite.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That might get me to play it. So yeah, that was the Halo Infinite snub. Bothered me a little bit. Even if it won nothing, I think it deserved the nomination for multiplayer. Let's talk announcements.
Yep.
We have both prepared our top 3 moments from the show.
Yeah.
Heath, do you want to tell us what stood out to you?
Armored Core coming back.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
I'm super interested. So this is, of course, a long-running franchise from Software. Now, neither of us have played Armored Core, maybe even seen it. Do you know what Armored Core is like?
It's like Metal Wolf Chaos,
Okay.
but serious.
I don't know very much about the series. Are they exclusively multiplayer? No, they have campaigns,
No,
right?
it's a single player experience, maybe PvP.
Okay. Mech battling.
They should, if they want it to be a hit, they should just make an Armored Core Elden Ring.
So yes, we were greeted with Armored Core 6 coming next year, very soon. I mean, how many internal teams does From Software have to pump out Elden Ring this year? Plus,
Well, until a Bloodborne port arrives, never enough.
never enough. So yeah, quick turnaround there. We saw this big glitzy cinematic trailer. Now this is a big
That
deal.
trailer reminded me of like the first, like all the fanfare surrounding Avatar the movie.
Okay, elaborate.
Just, you remember how everyone was just gaga over the floating mountains of Pandora and how photoreal the water looked and blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'm just conflating Avatar's mech suit battle guys
Right.
being so similar to Armored Core's mech battle guys. But man, did that trailer look like $1 billion. It looked
Yeah.
so good. I've never, and I'm the least From Software mark, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
Yes. So this was notable for a couple reasons. One, that it's been 11 years since Armored Core 5 came out, which was back in 2012, I looked up.
And what's the storyline? You're like Earth's last line of defense. You know what I hope it is? I hope you start out as a little near automata robot.
Yeah.
And you get like a tiny gun, and then you just progression up to Titanfall.
That would be a cool power curve to ride for sure. Yeah, what's interesting this time around is the last time we got an Armored Core game, From Software wasn't quite the household name it is today. This is kind of the return to this other series of theirs now that they're known.
This is, imagine
for
if like
Soulsborne.
Epic Games did the same thing. They hit it big with Fortnite, and then they're like, "Hey, everybody, play our tower defense." No, play Gears of War. Yeah.
Yeah, so many more eyes on them this time around. I wonder how close will it be to a Dark Souls?
The most eyes they ever had on them was Bloodborne.
Right.
There's a joke. Thank you very much.
Real fans will get it.
Moving on to your thing.
Cool. Let me just figure out what my thing is.
Christopher Judge's acceptance speech was 8 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
We scrubbed through it. We didn't sit through the whole thing.
They gave away 8 Steam Decks during that time.
What a classy joke that is. Not necessarily. It's like, it doesn't really put down the speech, but it's like everybody wins.
Yeah, it's not a put down, but it also acknowledges the length.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I get into my top 3 things, I want to say my most surprising thing. The announcement that most surprised me was that Valiant Hearts was getting a sequel from Ubisoft.
Remind me what Valiant Hearts looked like.
UB Art Engine. This is the World War I cartoony looking game.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It happened early on in the show.
Yeah.
Valiant Hearts, a game that released in 2014 from Ubisoft. It was the last thing I expected Ubisoft to return to. They haven't made a UbiArt framework game in a long time. And then this, obviously, I don't think it was a huge seller or anything. Also, Ubisoft, they seem to be trending more and more in the direction of only releasing games with like service elements. Even Assassin's Creed is more of a service game these days. So for them to return to the well.
Service elements.
Oh, yeah. The way like Assassin's Creed Valhalla continuously gets content updates, even though it's like 2 years old.
Oh, it's just ongoing.
Yeah, ongoing
Daily
games,
challenges.
right.
Okay.
Recurring quests,
Okay.
grind for resources, that kind of thing.
All right.
But yeah, just never would have thought Ubisoft, with their current trajectory of leaning more into service games, Valiant Hearts 2 didn't think that would ever be a thing. So that was the most surprising thing I saw. Let's go back to you, Heath. What was another announcement that got you excited?
I mean, the Mario movie is still going to be good.
Yeah.
It looks like money. Same thing with the Armored Core trailer. It just, the big polish. What gives me hope is there's like a character named like Chantel or something, just a toad, a throwaway toad. But she's from like the Paper Mario series.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, they're deep diving.
There are deep cuts.
There's going to be hardcore fan service.
Yes.
And what did we talk about? We're talking to you about Mario Kart and how you can toggle items now.
Oh, yeah.
So there was just a little pocket where everyone was uploading videos of like only blue shell races, no coin races. So that game has it's like 4th or 5th wind.
Yeah. Talking about that game came out in 2014.
Oh my
originally.
gosh. Chris, come on. My Switch it predates Switch.
Right.
My Wii U comes with Mario Kart 8. You got to come play. No, I can't. I'm too busy playing Valiant Hearts.
Exactly. And now here we are 8 years later, and both games are relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as I also was amused by the Mario movie trailer. Each image of the screen is just packed with references. I liked as Mario and Toad were walking through the market, and there was like an antique vendor. And I think the customer who was trying to buy something was like, hey, will this work? And then the cute little joke was the Toad who was selling stuff in the antique shop was like, yeah, it'll work. You just have to blow on it first.
Oh.
Cute stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
referencing
fun.
like N64 cartridges. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are people who clearly care quite a bit working on this film. I might even watch it. Who knows?
No, you're not going to watch it.
I might even watch it.
You're not going to watch it.
Depending on reviews.
Depending on whose friend's brother wants to have a birthday party there.
Right.
All right. You've waited long enough for Hades 2.
No. That's my number one.
Okay. Talk about DS2 now.
Yeah.
And how I made you close your eyes briefly.
Yeah, DS2. That's probably my number 3 most exciting thing.
You ever think DS2 will come to a handheld?
Yeah, that's the joke. DS2, the sequel to the Nintendo DS. I haven't seen the first half of the trailer because I had my eyes closed for fear of spoilers.
Well, yeah, because they were. It was a funeral procession.
Okay.
So there was no telling what little text inscripted on the coffin might have said.
Yes, and we see an aged Sam Porter Bridges and a Fragiles in there in the mix.
Looking real Metal Gear 4.
Yeah.
You know how Snake gets super old?
Yes.
They're doing it.
Yeah, the art direction's really striking as always. Seems like new vehicles and things shown off in DS2. If I ever hit the Death Stranding doldrums again, where I am thinking of putting it down, just the thought of the sequel will carry me through to finish my deliveries.
Like future sunk cost?
Yeah.
Money that will be spent?
Maybe the most interesting thing about when Kojima came on stage to talk about it is how he said he rewrote the entire game after experiencing the pandemic. I want to know what that's all about.
I kind of believe that.
I believe it.
God, I love Kojima as a person.
Yeah.
But not as a game director. I can't even.
I forgot to mention this during the Death Stranding section, but I have quite a bit of distaste for how Kojima game menus feel.
Oh. What, just auto? You're hitting the Y button a lot. Or the triangle button. What do you keep playing? Oh, Steam.
You mean to like auto sort?
Oh, you're playing Death Stranding on a pad, right?
Yeah, I'm using a controller.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, you are hitting Y to like auto
sort your cargo, yes. Yeah. No, just I don't like that you can't use an analog stick. You have to use the D-pad to like navigate.
You can't use an analog stick?
No, it doesn't do anything.
What, new order available and you're just tick, tick, tick?
You have to use a D-pad. This is the case.
Really?
This was the case in the Metal Gear games I've played And
I think you're wrong, bucko.
no, boot it up. We'll find it. Put it to the test.
Yeah.
But his menus, they just seem like they're overly verbose with options, and they take a while to navigate. And there's text all over the screen. I don't like the feel of a Kojima game menu. There's a very niche nitpick from Chris. It's really a personal thing.
Well, I don't like a Mass Effect menu.
They got I mean they're just objectively bad in Mass Effect 1, so I can't fault you for that. I was interested by the fact that Kojima rewrote the story of the game, and I'm intrigued by the fact that they never uttered the words Death Stranding 2. What's up with that?
I mean,
it's clearly intentional, right?
It's clearly intentional, and you know what? I don't like thinking about it because I don't like the implications.
Interesting.
And I don't like how it's just.
Now, I've heard some people say it's because DS2 is the working title, or is the game actually called just the official name is DS2? And then there's going to be some weird plot reveal.
Maybe it's a nod to PT.
Oh, that could be.
No.
Talking about niche things Chris doesn't like, Kojima menus, a niche thing I do really like is when there's some quirk about a title that then does get explained in the game later on.
Oh, buddy. Oh, God.
I love it.
I know, but there's just way too much plot details in Death Stranding that get explained. And I'm just, everyone with half a brain shouts to the screen, that's wrong.
Oh. Just because they disagree, or what do you mean that's
Be
wrong?
like, that shouldn't be right.
Okay. It shouldn't be
What do you
that
mean
way.
the beaches? I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, I'll see you on the beach.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that means, but
Chris. Yeah, it's, oh God. Yeah.
okay, that was
DS2. Yeah. Oh,
Bailey has input.
on Death Stranding?
Yes. Okay. The only thing I know about Death Stranding is that Churches made a song called Death Stranding, and I didn't know anything about the video game.
That's right.
And so I played the song, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a bop." And then Heath one day was like, "What song are you listening to?" I'm like, "It's called Death Stranding," and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
I forgot about this.
Yeah, and so it's a bop, so you should check it out. It's by Churches, but the U is a V, so it's Churches. Okay, that's all I had to say.
I will check that out.
It's a bop. Good.
I forgot that was Bailey's introduction to Death Stranding. That's funny.
Heath, what else excited you?
I'll tell you in just a sec.
I only have 2 more things.
Yeah, Hades and I got fan service with the Glass Onion tie-in.
Yes.
Glass Onion is fantastic. I'm sorry. I'm like kind of hijacking the podcast a little bit.
Not at all.
Bailey and I enjoyed Glass Onion. It was fun to see Daniel Craig and the director Ryan Johnson come on screen and confirm an Among Us skin
Yeah.
with Benoit Blanc.
That's the sequel to Knives Out.
Yeah.
That Zoom call that Benoit Blanc was on at the beginning was really sad because he was Zooming with Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim. So I lean over to Heath and I'm like, 2 out of the 4 of these people on the Zoom call are dead now. And it was really sad.
It was really sad.
It was really sad. But so I don't know if that was like on purpose or like if that just happened to be like the cast that they chose. But I was like, oof, that hit me in the feels a little bit.
So I'm not a Among Us player, but if I was, I'd be rocking the Benoit Blanc skin with his seersucker suit. Oh, we have another contributor.
Do you have anything you would like to say, Boo? Sorry, that was me. I'm trying to get him to talk.
This was only a matter of time, Chris.
No worries. I am looking up stuff.
I almost took a photo of Boo when he first jumped on the table in front of looking like a co-host. All right, Chris. I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts with the Batman thing. I thought it was
Hey.
gonna be another Batman thing.
Yeah.
It being a Kevin Conroy epitaph
Yes.
I appreciated it. Although they were like new assets, it looked like to me, which made me think Arkham was coming back. And I don't think it is.
The big announcement was he will reprise his role as Batman in
Posthumously in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
next year. Right.
Yeah. No. The voice of Batman apparently has voice lines after the fact.
I got him in the recording booth one last time.
Yikes. Yikes. Well, he voiced it for like decades. So there's no reason they can't just keep doing it.
Through AI?
Yeah.
Right.
Or not even through AI, probably just lifting voice lines.
I see. There's a big enough library to pull from.
Yeah, dude. And that'll be the case for us come Mobius Tubes 300.
Right. We'll just, much like I'm automating the roads in Death Stranding, we'll have automated the podcast by then. We'll already have the AI that will know what our reactions would be. But yeah, well, let me just, yes, that's really heartwarming to see that he will be able to appear in the game one last time with his iconic role. The last two things I'll call attention to was the announcement of the game Judas from Ghost Story Games. This is Ken Levine's studio.
Yeah. Very BioShock.
Very BioShock. To my knowledge, Ken Levine hasn't worked on a game that's come out since BioShock Infinite.
Right.
Back in 2013. So by the time this game comes out, 10 or more years will have passed. That's too long without a Ken Levine game, if you ask me.
Why are you such a Ken Levine mark?
I mean, I'm a big BioShock fan.
He's no Toby Fox.
The fact that BioShock hasn't come up that much on this show, I know you did play it and talk about it.
Chris, when it comes to auteurs that excite me just on their name, it's Lucas Pope, Toby Fox, who made Outer Wilds.
Mobius Digital.
Yeah, but like, who's the guy that's like, so I plugged in my gravity algorithm.
I don't know his name.
Whatever his name is.
Some physicist.
I will soil myself if he comes to my house.
Right. But yeah, I'll
Ken Levine's in like the top 50 around like Cliffy B.
Well, I think that's fair for you to say, but only because he's been MIA for the past decade.
All right.
But he's finally back. First game from Ghost Story, his own studio. Separated from 2K and Irrational Games because that
the
studio
same way a ghost
shuttered.
separates from the mortal coil.
Sure. But yeah, it looks like we are going to be eating well because we have this kind of spiritual successor to BioShock, and 2K is making their own in-house BioShock game.
What?
Without Ken Levine.
What?
So we'll see how that turns out.
Oh, super weird. Are we going to get another Metal Gear Survive?
That would be the worst case. That would be the bad timeline if it ends up being like that game.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm here for more immersive, simmy, BioShocky games.
That's why.
Yes. So can't wait for that. And yeah, the most exciting thing to me was the announcement of Hades 2. The one announcement that was spoiled for me in a Bill Gray's because I booted up Reddit like a fool.
Yeah.
But yes, Hades 2 is back from Supergiant Games.
What's Hades' name again?
Zagreus.
Zagreus is back.
Well, he's not shown. Speculation points to the main protagonist of Hades 2 being Zagreus' younger sister.
Okay.
Possibly. That is unconfirmed. In an interview with Supergiant Games after the trailer came out, they said it's going to be an intersection of Greek mythology with witchcraft or something like that.
That's Bailey's immediately rounds the corner. That sounds excellent.
So that's exciting and noteworthy because Supergiant has never produced a sequel.
And they would be a fool not to because of how much Hades friggin'
It really popped off for them.
Yes.
And I am of mixed emotions because on the one hand, are you heading out, Bailey?
Oh, this is sweet. That was sweet.
Is
The
it
audio
work?
listener can't see the big smile on my face. I'll meet you at whatever store you end up at.
You're good. Cool. All right, eat breakfast. Bye, Chris.
Bye, Bailey. Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, on the one hand, I'm getting a sequel to my favorite Supergiant game, so I'm thrilled. On the other hand, I did really like and admire Supergiant for never returning to the well, always doing something new. So 10% of me is disappointed.
I mean, when it's that wealthy of a well,
Yeah, I can't blame
are
them.
you going to tell IO Interactive to do something different?
I trust that this will be it won't be Hades 1.2. It'll be a consequential sequel, I'm sure.
The protagonist for Hades 2 looks like Min Min from ARMS.
Oh. Yeah.
She's like an orange girl
Okay.
with a beanie.
And the one thing about, I was kind of
How
expecting.
many times are you going to play this game? How many runs?
I think I did around.
It's an achievement if you get 100 runs.
I probably did 100 plus runs of Hades.
Damn.
I played it for over 100 hours. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They're doing the early access route again, where Hades 2 will release next year in early access. I kind of expected it to be ready by next year.
Oof.
So maybe they're taking their time on this one. They've cranked out a new game every 3 years like clockwork, which would have made 2023 time for the Prime event. But
Time for the Prime.
But I guess not this time around. Maybe Hades 2 is requiring some extra love and attention. All right. That's everything I really liked about the Game Awards announcements.
Yeah.
Is there any closing thoughts, Heath?
It was funny seeing Troy Baker on stage because he's also in DS2.
That guy gets around. Yeah, he came on to promote The Last of Us HBO show with his counterpart, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was cool to see the mirror reflection.
The passing the torch.
Yes. All right. Another Game Awards in the books. Stay tuned for next year. Next year's Game Awards. Ooh, boy. Let's predict the nominees for Game of the Year right now.
Okay.
There's going to be 6 nominees.
To Fantasy Critic.
The Legend.
Silk Song.
Sure. I think that could be in
You
the running.
think it'll phantom launch?
I would bet a substantial sum Silk Song comes out in 2023.
Whoa.
I mean, it was soft announced for 2023 because it had appeared in an Xbox showcase in the summer where they said everything shown will be releasing within the next 12 months.
Okay, I'm just gonna rattle them off. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 remake,
Yep, I think that'll be there.
Jedi Fallen Order 2,
We'll see.
Starfield.
Yeah, I mean that's a front runner. I think Final Fantasy 16 will be in the mix.
Yeah, those are those.
Big year.
Yeah, not for me.
There'll be something for you.
I gotta beat Breath of the Wild first.
Sure.
I have never fought a divine beast.
Oh my gosh. That's like what the game is known for.
That's the first thing you should do.
Well, the first thing you should do is go
Just
straight
play
for
Immortality. Oh, okay.
Ganon. After you play Immortality. All right, let's put a pin in Game Awards talk. I have one news story that I feel warrants a mention.
Yeah, we covered it. Geralt and Fortnite.
And that is, let's just bookend the year. We opened the year talking about this news story, and let's close the year.
What, Stadia? What?
All the drama around Microsoft trying to acquire Activision Blizzard King. Because it's looking increasingly shaky that will go through. So we talked about it in January. The biggest video game acquisition to ever occur. In fact, one of the biggest tech acquisitions, full stop. And now as of Thursday, the Federal Trade Commission is suing to block the acquisition. So that's a big deal. That's the U.S. government saying, no, thank you, Microsoft.
No Overwatch for you, Microsoft.
And we could have touched on this story many times throughout the year. There's been so many updates on the drama. Lots of it.
This is Phil Spencer who's trying to get this through?
Yeah, Phil Spencer on the behalf of Microsoft,
He wants Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah. Sony has been throwing a fit all year long, bringing up lots of arguments that have, some merit to them.
There was no Sony rep at the Game Awards.
Sure there was.
Not a single one.
Yeah, there were. Oh, worth mentioning.
Yoshi P.
Let's circle back to the Game Awards real quick. Yeah. Phil Spencer was in attendance.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single Microsoft/Xbox announcement at the show. Which, maybe meaningless, but does it give you pause? That could be cause for concern.
No.
I know that they have Starfield and Redfall next year. They didn't show either of those off. They didn't announce anything else. They've got like 20 studios. Surely there's something to show.
Who owns Yakuza again?
Sega.
Which is owned by Microsoft?
No, not yet.
Right, not yet.
Not yet. Hellblade has a precedent for appearing at the Game Awards. No Hellblade update this year. Where is Hellblade? It's been so long.
Senua's Saga?
Saga, yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, just wanted to call that out. I heard this, it was a fun joke. Someone was like, hey, Microsoft provided the venue because it was like the Microsoft Theater, and then Sony and Nintendo provided the announcements.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah. All right, done with the Game Awards. Let's talk about Federal Trade Commission blocking this acquisition.
Yeah, trusts.
Sony, they bring up, there was this huge document that came out of all of Sony's grievances of why this would be catastrophic for the industry if this acquisition went through. There was so many interesting statistics in there. The most interesting statistics were unfortunately redacted.
We have to pay $7,000 to read them.
To EDAR, yeah. Some really interesting tidbits. I encourage listeners to seek out this document or at least a video explaining what was in.
You think Jacob Geller can get them?
Get the scoop, maybe.
Jacob right in.
Yeah, Sony complained a lot. Some of their complaints have legitimacy. Some has some hypocrisy behind them. Because, of course, their big complaint is that Call of Duty is going to be too potent of an exclusive for Microsoft to wield. But Sony's whole business model is...
That might have been true back in like 2010.
I don't know. Call of Duty still sells so much.
Really?
It does. Despite the fact that we don't hear about it in our circles, it's huge. It's so big. And there's the annual releases. There's the whole Warzone component. There's the whole Call of Duty mobile component. Yeah, it's big. So yeah, the Federal Trade Commission actually took action. They're suing to block. Phil Spencer promised 10 years of Call of Duty on Nintendo consoles. Isn't that funky?
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's where I got my Call of Duty start.
On the which one?
I played Finest Hour on the GameCube.
Oh my gosh.
And then I played World at War on the Wii.
What a hipster way to
I did not play a Call of Duty game not on a Nintendo console until Modern Warfare 2, the first one.
Got it. My uneducated, uninformed gut check is that there is about a 60% chance the acquisition goes through and a 40% chance that it does not. And I think it's kind of interesting to imagine the state of affairs if the acquisition doesn't go through.
Activision Blizz King wants it to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Because
they're going to make $70 billion. Yeah.
I would want that to go through if I got $70 billion.
I'm imagining what happened. What is the political landscape like if it gets blocked on account of all of Sony's moaning? If you're Activision Blizzard, do you kind of hate PlayStation? Because they stopped your big fat payday. But you still, obviously they still put the game on Sony platforms. But they hate Sony, right? I think it weird, yeah, just weird political behind the scenes changing the landscape if it were to be blocked. Microsoft's really pulling for it because there's a kill clause where Microsoft is out $3 billion even if the sale gets canceled. So Microsoft...
Why? Because of sunk litigation?
It was part of the initial contract, just as a...
What initial contract?
Their acquisition contract with Activision Blizzard. They said if for any reason the deal fails to go through, we will still pay you $3 billion instead
Oh,
of the $70 billion
what?
as collateral.
Oh, wait. So Activision Blizz goes, yeah, we'll entertain this offer so long as if it gets killed for any reason. Wait, they can't just pull out and get the $3 billion.
No, it has
Got to get killed by
all
FTC.
of the destiny. Microsoft is in the driver's seat. Activision Blizzard is in the back seat. They're now up to the whims of what Microsoft is able to do and what the FTC decides.
Wow. What the hell? Imagine if I'm like, hey, I'll go on a date with you, but if we break up for whatever reason, I get the apartment. What? What?
I mean, there's quite a big difference between $3 billion and $70 billion. It's a fraction.
I guess.
So yeah,
You know how many movies we could make with $3 billion?
right.
Like probably 3,000 movies.
But yeah, that's people are saying. Think of how many lawyers Microsoft can hire with $3 billion on the line,
Or just one big lawyer. I didn't mean big as in powerful. I meant big as in like physically large. Like,
Mass.
Like what's the Elden Ring boss that rides a tiny horse?
Oh.
Radon, I think is his
Okay.
name. His name's Radon, like the Star Killer. Radon, the FTC trust breaker.
I never expected this story to be dragged out all year long into next year now. So what will happen? It remains to be seen.
Yeah. Do we like? Yeah. Do we have to stand up for anti-monopoly by continuing to not play Overwatch 2?
I mean, so yeah, I don't.
You gave my joke way too much thought.
So yeah, I don't like this level of consolidation, but I have to admit, I don't think it's at monopoly levels. I don't think Sony had a lot of firm ground to stand on when they complain. One of their big complaints is like, oh man, our platform won't be tenable, losing access to Call of Duty. To which Microsoft responds, you know, those folks over at Nintendo haven't had Call of Duty for a decade, and they seem to be doing
haven't?
just fine.
What's the last Call of Duty game that made it onto the?
Let's check. I mean, I don't think the Switch has a single Call of Duty game. I think the last Call of Duty game to release on Nintendo platform is Call of Duty Ghosts.
I have to. Sorry, audio listener.
It's worth looking up.
I'm gonna type in some numbers.
If it's Ghosts, that would have been back in 2013.
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is on the Wii U. Call of Duty Ghosts is on the Wii U. And in true Chris fashion, he knows exactly when the platform drops off. Yeah, Ghosts was the last back in 2013.
Yeah.
So all those Nintendo owners are like, what the hell are we supposed to play now? And and UB Art goes, we got Valiant Hearts.
Nice.
Is that on a Wii U?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Okay, wait. We're coming up on a decade of no Nintendo.
Right.
In the Call of Duty department.
And Nintendo is, I wouldn't say they're exactly...
Which is the sole place I got my Call of Duty.
Yeah, there's a whole generation of
in my prepubescence.
would-be Heaths only playing Switch who've never heard of Call of Duty.
What's that? Yeah. Is that like Splatoon, but with bullets? All right. Hey,
that's that story.
Look forward, audio listener, to the end of next year's Mobius Tubes. And
Yes.
When we're swan songing 2023, and we'll be like, man, you think this merger is ever going to go through?
2023 will be a weird year because there is no Call of Duty next year. Not a new mainline one, anyway.
Modern Warfare 2 just came out.
Yes, just came out.
Yeah.
There will be no mainline Call of Duty in 2023. It got delayed.
Oh, because this one's... Yeah, but this one... Modern Warfare 2 is huge enough that that's fine.
It can carry them. They have Warzone as well. They'll be fine.
Right. Damn, this is the first non-annualized entry since 2005.
Yes. Talk about having a good run.
I was playing these games back then.
I was 9.
I only started playing these in 2007. Hey, good memory, Chris.
Yeah. And I hope the listeners formed a good memory listening to this podcast episode.
Please cement this memory in the form of correspondence. You can email us at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, or maybe if you don't do email, write us a kind review on your podcast platform of choice.
Yes.
And I hope everyone...
Do that first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, do it.
Put the contents of the email in the review.
Yeah.
So that everyone can see it. 2
birds with 1 stone. And that'll be this episode. Heath, what are you doing the rest of the day? You're going to finish your breakfast.
I'm gonna eat something. Bailey's probably at the mall. Oh, damn. I have to do a work-related thing. I'm going to take off that shelf that's crooked because I didn't have a level when I put it up.
Got it.
The left side is a 1/2 inch higher than the right, which is huge to my eye. And then I don't know. So long as Bailey is placated by shopping, I might try to get in a game.
Nice. I hope sometime in the next 2 months you play Immortality.
Yeah.
The rest of today is dedicated to Jim, and I'm going to try a fish fry recipe for the first time.
Ooh.
It's my mom's recipe. It's nothing fancy, but it's my first time trying it, so look forward to that. I say that as if the listeners will be partaking in the meal with me. And just in case we don't crank out another episode, let's just say have a happy holiday season to everyone listening to Mobius Tubes.
Oh, sure.
But maybe we'll be back. Maybe we can squeak another one in.
Yeah.
And catch you next time. Bye.